Okay, it's going now. The recording is on. So,
Okay.
floor is yours, Chris.
Hello, everyone. Um, I'll do an introduction this time since we just started recording. My name is Chris Morgan. I work for Bloomberg. I've been trying to get this Ops Radio thing off the ground with another colleague of mine in the community, Eric McCormick. I don't think can make it today, just a family issue today. But what Ildiko suggested for today's session is a retrospective. So basically, this is intended to be a community event for OpenStack operators to just get together and discuss shared issues, news, and maybe help each other solve some technical problems. And I feel like the last few have definitely started to get some momentum. So if you scroll back to the topics from last month, I should say, we had a very good discussion about RabbitMQ, with some people wanting to maybe look at other message queues for OpenStack. And there's some context here. There's obviously history in the community about trying other things, and then there's some options available now that are new. And then we also had a great discussion about live migration. We are working hard on live migration in Bloomberg. We have automation doing live migration 24/7. We use it for maintenance, for load balancing, and we've pushed up some changes to make it go faster. And we're excited about what this unlocks for us because it's getting to the point now where critical applications within the Bloomberg backend run seamlessly during live migration with no disruption. So to be very specific, there's Bloomberg terminal backend processes that have live Bloomberg subscriber customers connected, and they don't get disconnected. So it's not perfect yet. There's things to do with Linux tuning, things to do with OpenStack, particularly the order of operations. It's very conservative currently, and there's things to do with our Neutron implementation, which is Calico, which is more niche. But the OpenStack changes, for instance, are being pushed up, and the Linux ones I tried to share in the notes here. So not to dive all the way deep into a topic from last time again, but just to kind of demonstrate that we are starting to get some traction, some participation. And the nice thing is that this is so cheap. It's basically like a Zoom meeting on your calendar. What we used to do is get together in person for 2 days sometimes, and have a full agenda, and we'd have lunch together and those kind of things. That was very nice, but that relied on travel budgets and the kind hospitality of a hosting organization. For instance, Deutsche Telekom did it twice, Bloomberg did it twice. The Mexican government, I think, hosted it effectively in Mexico City. Maybe those days are gone. So this is trying to start from ground zero, really. We can all do a Zoom call. This is the same kind of thing, and get the community back together and try and help each other do this thing we're all doing OpenStack. And I'm pleased that it's delivering some value. But this is not a monologue from me. So is there anybody here who has some would like to make a comment on what we're doing here? Please speak up.
I have I have a quick one. It's Ildiko here. I saw a note. I don't know if it was last week or a few days ago. Someone was referring to the one of the Ops Radio Hour discussions where someone mentioned that the community should keep older documentation in place and should never delete anything. So just a quick note that people catch up on what we are talking about here, and it seems like that some of the topics, discussions, comments make it into the community, and they are taken in as an input. So I think that is a tiny success.
Yeah, that's actually a great story. So that's something we talked about in Mexico City, I think 8 years ago now. So in those days, a lot of the operators would turn up to the meetups and somewhat sheepishly say, "Oh, I'm running a very old version of OpenStack," and then we would all say, "Oh, so are we." So it was almost like a support group. And so we would say, what are your pain points in moving forward to a new version of OpenStack? And of course, everyone talks about testing and operational complexity. But another one that I picked up on was, oh, the docs have been deleted. I struggle to even look after my cluster because OpenStack.org documents have been deleted from my version. And so we actually did talk to some of the OpenStack development teams. Why are they deleted? And it turned out there was a very good reason, because the um, source code for the docs and the source code for the website were sort of intermingled. So when you had a change to website navigation or security issues, um, to preserve the old docs meant backporting those fixes to old branches, which is a huge burden. Obviously, as there's 2 releases a year, so they just gave up on old branches in terms of website tech, which meant that they had to delete those branches because they no longer worked. So they actually did fix that. They separated the mechanisms of the website from the actual text of the OpenStack documentation. And from OpenStack Mitaka onwards, you'll find the old docs still there. Now, it might be a little bit broken because obviously if the website changes, old docs maybe don't render so well. But that was something that the people attending the ops meetup like united on and then brought to the developers. Another thing that I think was strongly advocated was the ability to not go to every release. And I don't want to take any credit there, but just people shared that they can't go twice a year, and it's very difficult to step through every intervening release for real. In other words, upgrade and then bring the system up and let all the systems run and do any maintenance, and then bring them all down and then bring them back up on the next one. And again, I think there's been a meeting of minds, because the slurp process definitely seems to be um, a great boon for those of us who can't upgrade twice a year. That's the skip level upgrade something process. So again, I felt like we brought the operator's voice to the developers, and that's critically important because problems of scale are less apparent to developers if they are not operators. We have quite a large fleet now. 15 separate OpenStack clusters, nearly 10,000 machines, nearly 100,000 VMs. Just the very act of pushing a release, even if it's flawless, through all of that, with stages for risk management and then pauses for observation in case there's bugs, takes a really long time. And as I mentioned, that's after you've decided that the release works for you and you've integrated it with your local changes and
Did we lose Chris or did I lose connection?
put new things into circulation here. Um, I get the sense that we've got quite a few people who just want to understand what this is today, and not that many people who actually have a blazing OpenStack issue to bring up. But anyway, Andreas, put your hand up. So go ahead. You have the floor.
Sure. Andreas from Force IT in Sweden. So I just wanted to say that I think this is a great forum. I've been watching the YouTube release of these meetings, and I think it's a good way to engage. And not too much to say today, but our goal is to try to attend these meetings in the future and have discussions and just listening in to see what happens, because We're quite new at OpenStack. We have a long history with open source, but we're just migrating now over to OpenStack from VMware, as everybody else seems to be doing. So I'm looking forward just to be part of this, and I think the recorded meetings that I have been watching have been a very good source of information, and listening to other people's pain points and see that, okay, we are not alone with some pain points, and get some feedback and ideas on how to solve issues and move forward. So just want to say that I think it's a great initiative.
Thank you. That's very nice to hear. Yeah, as I mentioned, the issue of I'm running older OpenStack was a constant one, and anything that we can do to sort of narrow the gap between developers at the head of the tree and infrastructure running many older versions is super valuable, really, because the load on the developers will be smaller if we were all running, let's say, this year's release, one of this year's releases. I will say that we still have OpenStack Mitaka clusters running, so I can still put my hand up and say we still have that challenge. Those are not part of the 15 I mentioned. Those are old things still running, some legacy apps you haven't been able to move. And we also have multiple pockets of ESX usage in specialized areas of our business, and they are also looking at our product and seeing whether they can onboard for obvious reasons, around the vendor behavior, should we say. I don't really want to touch that too specifically, but yeah, we have that challenge as well. And I meet with the administrators of those things. One thing that they encounter is that ESX does a great job of being GUI based and fully documented and kind of automated, and they look at our product and we have a team running it, and our scale is gigantic compared to those, but what they really like is it to be more approachable, more easy to understand how to start, because in some cases they are on networks that I can't help them with, and that's an area where I think that there's still work could be done with OpenStack to make it possible for people like in that situation. I'm running let's say proprietary virtualization. I would like to run OpenStack. Where do I start? Is a bit of a head scratcher. You rapidly come down to dozens of installation tools, architectures, and decisions about resilience, high availability. And I think that sometimes they may just say, I think we'll just pay the very high bills and try again. So that's another thing that I think that we could possibly help make better. Although, if you look at the history of the installation tools, it's never converged. There's still like half a dozen. So that's a tough one. So another thing that I think is good for a retrospective plans for 2026 is to just ask about the very basic stuff about this meetings, the cadence and the timing. I see several people join just to listen in, but not many people actually here to do sort of work. Is it necessary maybe to consider moving the time or the day of the month to make it more approachable? I mean, maybe anyone has colleagues who can't make it. It starts at 8 a.m. in the US, which is just about doable, to try and accommodate a wider range of fellow community members in Europe and elsewhere. Does anyone have any suggestions, or is it good enough? And by the way, I do appreciate, I think it might be Ildiko tapping away at the meeting minutes, if we can call it that.
Yes, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, thank you. Interestingly, it seems like the YouTube recordings are more convenient than the meetings, which makes it a kind of a broadcasting thing rather than a working group thing, which is, I never intended to be what would it be, a YouTube artist, but I'm not getting any traction on that issue. So I'm going to assume that it's working well enough. So I guess
One thing I was going to suggest is maybe we try and take some kind of poll, and I know it's hard to know who the normal joiners are, but what is the earliest time zone and the latest time zone that people think people might want to use? Because I definitely have counterparts on the west coast of the U.S. that would probably be pretty engaged in this, but it is 5 a.m. for them right now, so they are less willing to be engaged.
I'm on the West Coast. Yes, it is indeed very early. I
Yes.
think Thierry has his hand up.
Yeah, for it's always difficult to find a time that works for everyone, obviously. But I feel like for this meeting, we don't need that much continuity of discussion between the meetings, because the main drawback of doing a rotation of time is usually that you don't get the same people at every meeting. So if you want to have a continued discussion and making progress as a work group, it doesn't work so well. But if and I feel like this is more like it. If the goal of the group is more to share experiences and raise topics that they want to discuss and have some amount of feedback from the group, then I suspect it's slightly less of an issue as long as you can find like hosts and moderators that are willing to drive the meeting in at alternate times. So it's doable to do a rotation or to insert some more friendly times for some of the groups, because otherwise you will necessarily exclude some people from joining, either because it's in the middle of the night or just because it's just slightly too inconvenient for them.
Yeah, I like that idea, and we never said that monthly is a given. I wonder whether we could try every 2 weeks, flipping between early in my time zone to later, like towards the end of the day here, which would be around lunchtime on the West Coast, and that would be less good for Europe. But if we've been excluding them, then it seems like that would work, I think, for me and for the other regular host, Eric. So I like the idea of actually doing a survey to try and find out whether we could broaden this to people on the West Coast and other time zones, for whom this is not a good slot. The one question I have, Cherry, is where would I do that survey? I mean, is there a standard open infra community setup for that? And obviously I could share the link in a number of places.
I could help putting one together. We the Open Infra Foundation uses OpenStack to run some simpler surveys, so not necessarily the OpenStack user survey scale kind of thing, but to put together a survey with a few questions. So if y'all can tell me what you want to ask, I can create the survey form, and then we can share it on OpenStack, discuss, and other forums as well. We should probably do that after the holidays, though, because we are so close to Christmas now that I don't think anyone will look at any survey emails and surveys at this point before the new year. But I can help with that. The other
Definitely. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I also I think I had my hand up. I wanted to say that it is currently 5 on the west coast of the U.S. because this meeting is at 1300 UTC, so it's not a fixed time in a particular, like it's a fixed time in a time zone that doesn't have daylight savings miseries. So during summer on the northern hemisphere, this meeting is at 6 in the morning, which I consider quote unquote the golden hour because it is inconvenient, but it works in the Americas, it works in Europe, and it still works in most of Asia Pacific. I mean, when we talk about Australia and New Zealand, that's just, there are some time zones that are really hard to include, but in terms of this golden hour, it's doable in most time zones, which is why during the week, for example, I have 6 a.m. meetings all the time because most communities are using these time slots. So this is like if you all want to pick one that is something that most people are used to who are willing to attend these calls. These early morning ones in the US are actually not bad ones, is what I'm trying to say in a really long way. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. But it's something that people like on the West Coast who do attend calls are used to. But yeah, in terms of the survey, just let me know what questions you wanna put on it. And I think Thierry also put some messages in the chat.
Yeah,
so
I was
I
just
think
saying that we need to make it a much more obvious way for operators to engage. We've been reviewing recently some of the community pages, and if you select your own operator and you want to engage in the community, it does not necessarily drive you to the Ops Radio Hour or to anything useful. So we really need to refresh a lot of that documentation so that it's more easy to find for operators, especially new operators, because we see a lot of new deployments of OpenStack right now due to some of the trends that the people from Force IT have been mentioning. And so I'm glad that they found this, but I'm pretty sure we are missing a lot of groups that could benefit from hearing from other operators to give them confidence that they're on the right track and all that.
I agree. I'd love to see this get bigger. It's never meant to be a monologue. It's meant to be, a lively discussion. I think last time we had quite good diversity. I see, 4 or 5 institutions, but probably no West Coast ones. So I do think the survey might find out whether, this timing is doable, but they didn't know about it, or whether we do need to change the timing. And I'm willing to try, monthly at this time and in between at another time, and try things and see if they work. I mean, the idea of this in general was kind of a crazy idea, just jump on Meetpad, because we did try for a while to actually restart the in-person meetups, and we had one since the pandemic in Berlin, but that was it. And other hosting offers just melted away. So I agree that this might be all we can do right now with the fracturing of the community and the shrinkage of budgets. So let's find out whether there's opportunity to do this a bit more at different time zones, and I'll work with Ildiko on the content of the survey, and we can all share it to the places where we see some engagement on OpenStack issues. That's one of the problems that I see, by the way, is the places where people gather just to find out what's going on are so diverse now. There's traditionally IRC mailing lists, but now there's also some are still on Twitter. There's Threads, Mastodon, Matrix, LinkedIn, Reddit, and apparently I'm big on YouTube. I'm kidding, but so that's a lot of different places. So I think we'll, get the message out to as many of those as we can, saying, hey, we want to discuss growing this thing that we do, and we want to hear from you. How can we make it useful in terms of timing and cadence? Maybe we can get, because I remember ops meetups being so big that they had to split into multiple rooms, even in-person ones. That was maybe too many, but we can definitely, I think, grow the engagement and help the community.
I also threw in the Matrix channel on the Etherpad, because we do have a new Matrix channel. Folks seem to be happier with Matrix overall compared to IRC. I don't know, Chris, if you had a chance to hop in and see if it works for you as well. We could collaborate on the survey there if we wanted a bit more synchronous conversation about what the questions should be, and for people to review the survey and test it out before we blast it to a bigger audience. We could utilize the Matrix channel for the ops discussions.
I haven't actually engaged with Matrix yet, but I will do that. I'm actually on call as I speak, and it's not been a smooth one, but I'll try and do that I agree we should try and use what works.
There are quite a few
So, yeah.
polls in the channel, and there are
Yeah.
like really short conversations there. So I think that if there are some topics that spark people's interest, there are definitely people who I think would be more engaged in conversations as well in that channel. So in terms of audience, I think it's starting to build up. We just need to encourage the people to actually chat about things, because it always sounds like when we have these calls and people bring up the topics that there are quite a few things to chat about. So it's just a matter of habit to see if in between meetings the matrix channel could be one of the alternatives where people can keep in touch, because when it comes to meetings, even if the time zones work, sometimes people still have a conflict that they cannot resolve. So it's always a hit or miss whether or not people can make it to a particular call.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see that happen. And one thing, in case people aren't sure what the ground rules are, when you see the topics on the Etherpad here, it's just open for submission. It's not like there's anyone owns it. So, for instance, for the next meeting, I don't know what day that might be. You just literally type in a new date here, copy this sort of masthead thing, and then just put down topics, and then whatever you like. So if someone wants to talk about, I don't know, Rabbit again, or Neutron, or live migration again, or documentation, just throw it on the agenda, and I will work through it. Right. This time we didn't have much, but last time, for instance, just to scroll back, I assume people are seeing this from last time. We had the question of RabbitMQ, and we had the question of live migration to get things going, and we had a great discussion about those things. So if you have something you'd like to talk about next time, or if your colleague wants to propose a topic, just dump it on, right? It's supposed to be open and free form. I don't know if we have much more business. I anticipated that this one would be a quiet one, because a lot of people are already on vacation. Colleagues of mine are on vacation. We're in lockdown. So other than the on-call person, myself, it's kind of quiet. Are there any other topics people want to bring up right now, or should we maybe call this a little early and I can go and maybe hook up to Matrix? I actually don't know anything about Matrix whatsoever, I'll be honest, but I can learn.
I always send out the matrix information in the footer of the emails, where I remind people about things on the OpenStack Discuss mailing list. I can also drop it over to you in email. It should be somewhere in this Etherpad too, but I will not go and find it now. In terms of plans for 2026, I assume that for January, we will probably go with the same cadence and then start running the survey, and then figure out changes, improvements as we go.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should. I don't know if you found a date that would be kind of analogous to this one for next month. I think we should definitely do that at this time slot to start with, and then if we get strong signals from a survey that it needs to alternate or needs to be more frequent or anything like that, we can discuss that at the next meeting.
So in terms of the January meeting, the last Friday of January is, I believe, January 30th. However, FOSDEM is January 31st and February 1st, so it's that weekend. I'm not sure what the overlap is between the people on this call and FOSDEM, people who go to FOSDEM. If that seems like a slight concern, we could target January 23rd, like the Friday before, for the next one. What do people think?
I think that seems very wise. I think that it would be about a month from now.
Yeah.
Which seems, sort of natural. I'm not going to FOSDEM, but some of my colleagues are, so I think that there is some overlap. But the thing is that it's also not locked in entirely, right? If we find that January 23rd is absolutely the worst idea ever a week before, then we could push it, right? So I've written it down just as a question for now.
I mean,
And
my personal opinion is that if we lock it down that is going to be January 23rd, I think we will get more people than if we say that it is flexible, because then there's a confusion on when the next meeting is actually going to be.
I agree. I'm just saying, you know, we can lock it in now, but it's not irrevocable if there's you know some reason for change. So I put it down. I don't have my calendar open right now because I'm not logged into my corporate network, but I will put myself down as the host for now. I'll confer with Eric. The reason I mention Eric so much is that he actually hosted half of them this year, and without him, we couldn't have kept it going. So that sounds good. I have to remember to start writing 2026 for those events.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think we have a lot more business. We don't have any actual technical topics this time, I think, because we have mostly observers and not people who came here to get help or to offer help. But we have talked a lot about, is this working? I think the answer is yes. Does it need changes? Maybe not. We'll do a survey. And how do people find out about it? Well, I will get on Matrix. And Thierry also mentioned that the web pages that are for operators need a refurbishment. That's very true. They're basically mostly full of links to Etherpad pages from this stage 5 years ago, right? So it's kind of getting dated. So I think that would be good to say, you know, new operators start here, and it's a page that's alive rather than kind of dusty and old. But I'm hearing that this is worthwhile, so that's encouraging. And you know, let's keep building it and make it help the community and bring more operators into the fold. And
oh, sorry, I didn't realize it will make a noise. Meatpad.
That was unexpected. I didn't know that Meatpad had all of those kind of Zoom-like features of flying emojis, but awesome. I guess I should say any other business, or should we call it there? Because you know, it is holiday time. Probably we all need to go and order some presents or wrap some presents or do our locally appropriate customs. And I need to probably go and get back to my being on call. I don't want to seem like that's a terrible thing. It's only about 4 times a year now because we have such a large rota now of people who take part in it. But when you're it's a lot. Okay, Ildiko, you're in charge of the record button. Are you okay with us calling the meeting there? And you know.
Yes, I can stop the recording.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to say that that's it for this meeting. We normally run the hour, but obviously due to seasonal issues, this one was a little bit more thinly attended. But I think we'll see a lot more people next time, especially if we get the survey out, if we engage on Matrix, get some topics up, and then let people know that we're planning 23rd of January 2026 for the next meeting. So I hope I will see you all there and spread the word. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for doing a great job, and also thank you to Eric for running these series. And I'm excited to see where the group goes and grows in 2026. And in the meantime, happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays to you all. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye.